I'm gonna just be honest with you. That was a sleepy one. I was like literally dozing. My head was nodding, and not in agreement. It was nodding in honk honk schnoo, okay? So if I just fall over while I'm recording this, let me rest. Please, God, let me rest. So here I am. I'm just gonna let you know on something, and I'm gonna let you in on something I'm observing. When I don't record these every day, I feel genuinely overwhelmed the next time I sit down to record, because there is simply so much material. There's so much material. Every day is like 5 miracles at this point, mixed with like a new character who gets added to the plot line, mixed with like an old character from season 2 who like you really rooted for, but like it didn't work out. It was like right person, wrong time energy, but like now they're back in the fray, mixed with a little bit of drama that doesn't belong to me. It belongs to others, but like I'm a main character in it because people come to me for advice. What I'm trying to tell you is that the plot is thick. The plot is thicker than me. I'm such a clown. The plot is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, okay? The plot is thicker than me after Orange Theory doing my squats, okay? The thought. Listen, I can be a thought. You know what thought stands for? That hoe over there. Okay? I can be a thought under the right circumstances. You treat me right, I can be a thought. I can be a thought leader. I ain't talking about on LinkedIn. For the select few who deserve it. I can be a thought leader. T-H-O-T. But what I'm trying to tell you is the plot is thick. The plot is thick. And there have been moments over the last couple of days where I look at my robe and my intuition voice whispers, oh baby, we're tired. We're tired. We don't have an hour-long diary in us right now. Because like now I know myself and I'm like, okay, this old girl she can really talk, can't she? She can really say a thing. She can really sit on this floor and let it rip, right? For a long time. And so that plus how thick the plot has gotten has caused this hilarious, like, it's like excitement mixed with, oh boy, like, do I have the energy? Do I have the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent to sit on the floor and to make this happen this evening? And I really just need to push past that, because I really do feel like some of the funniest videos are when I'm in this state. Because I'm so tired. I mean, every single diary you get from me is like 100% authentic. It's honestly a little bit too authentic. Like that person who commented once and was like, not everything needs to be shared online, sweetie. Points were made. I mean, when I'm in this silly, goofy mood where I have no filter, my brain is fried, a fried egg. It is just noodles in there, and not high quality like organic pasta. It's like that Chef Boyardee that expired 5 years ago. That's what's happening in here. And you really do get the truest sense of my Mr. Wacky, you know, like really how I would describe the inside of my brain right now is one of those inflatables outside a car dealership. Like that's what's going on in here. Maybe you can feel that. It's not a bad thing, but what I'm saying is I'm very out of control right now. And if you've learned anything through these diaries, is that I like to be in control of my mind. And in these moments when I'm so tired that I feel like I'm at a plant medicine retreat with the rest of Austin, Texas, it's when I really do sit there and I think to myself, oh, this is a little scary, you know, because I like my control. I like my labels. I like my boxes. I feel very safe in them. That actually brings up an interesting topic. There's so much, guys, but I'm just going to start here and then let's just see where the road takes us today, okay? So I will cap this though, God willing, if I can get these lips to stop flapping. Early tonight, I'm going to cap this at 30 minutes because by George, I will be more consistent because of what I just told you about the whole, like, me having this hilarious dance of avoidance with my own meditation diaries because my life has gotten so interesting that I don't even know where to start. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? There's so much. And every time I come out of meditation, it just ends up working. Like, we don't know what we're getting. And that's actually the point. So I just need to sink back into my surrender and to use these just as I use the walks like my surrender experiment. And so what I'm trying to say is I'm sorry for being a little MIA, but I'm an imperfect being. You know, like that little food service where you can get those like vegetables that had like a wart on them or they're misshapen, you know, or it's like an eggplant with 2 heads and it's like imperfect foods and they like ship them to your door and you get them at a discount because they're ugly. That's basically what these videos are. And I just love it. I love it. And I need to sink back into the mindset that I can be an eggplant with 2 heads. And that's beautiful and perfect. And I just wanted to speak this out loud because if you're wondering, like, what's going on? Like, where's our girl at? Honestly, I've been wondering that too. But the fun part about this is that we can, like, speak about it openly. And if I do have any insights other than what I just shared about why I have been a little bit more MIA, if anything comes to my awareness, I'll let you know. Here's the only other thing that I can think of. My work, my situation at work has gotten a lot more stressful than I am used to. And I definitely feel like that has affected my energy levels because I'm so tired at the end of most weekdays now that the woman is too stunned to speak. Like, I literally will end my workday and then just like flop on my fainting couch and not want to say anything because I spent the whole day in meetings talking and I'm like, I don't want to talk to myself today. I talk to too many people. You know, that's kind of the vibe. And I really do need to get that in check because ew, like, no, I'm a world where I'm sacrificing what I actually love to do for something that I don't really love to do is not a world I want to live in. So your girl's gonna figure that out, but that's just the only other thing. And I already mentioned that in a past video that is floating to my awareness. Like, that has changed. My work situation has gotten a lot busier than I was used to when I was able to post these every day. And again, it's me against me. When you set a goal like this and say, like, I'm gonna do something every day, no one has a gun to your head and is like, where's the video, Elle? You know, it's like, no, come on. Nobody's saying that, but like, I'm kind of saying that. And I don't like to miss and I don't like to not hit my goal, but I also love myself regardless and realize that like life is tricky and not perfect. And I'm not gonna make every single day and I've got a lot going on and I like making my art in these videos when I feel really excited. Like if I see, you know, I walk by my little robe hanging and I see it and I'm like, ooh, it's time. Like that's the kind of energy I want to bring. I'm not always in like a goofy, silly, giddy mood, and these videos prove that, but I really would like to figure out how to get back to a state of like I don't care how imperfect it is. I don't care how tired I am. I am just going to let it rip. Because even though I feel very drained, it's a Saturday too, guys. And like, it's a miracle I'm sitting here. I had some thoughts because this was such a long day. As you know, I start every Saturday by waking up at about 6:20 in the morning. And I get ready for my walk and I set my intentions and I put on some like really uplifting music and I drive there, I greet everybody and we kick off. We were out there today, so the walk was fantastic, number 83. And then we were out there today for quite a while. I was there chatting with some people after the walk until like 12:30. And then I went to go get lunch. And then I did a full moon ceremony, which was really, really fun and so like beautiful and self-reflective. And I just love intention setting in general. I get so much value out of writing out the things that I want to bring into my life. And I don't care where you land on the scale of woo-woo. As you can tell, I'm pretty high on the scale. Okay, I'm pretty high. And here's the other thing though. I can't help but notice that most people who are high on the woo-woo scale are really happy. We can't just ignore that. Like, I have a great life and I'm high on the woo-woo scale. Is there a correlation there? So if you are skeptical, if you're skeptical about the woo-woo, let me just ask you a question. How often are you smiling in a day? I made this joke to a friend of mine. I sent him a picture of a black cat and a golden retriever. And I was like, and they were snuggling and just looked really happy. And I was like, this could be us, but you'd rather smile 3 times a month in New York City, right? And that's just true, baby. It's like when your life doesn't have enough whimsy, when your life doesn't have enough woo-woo, you're just not smiling as much as you need to be. You're taking years off your life with how sunken that face is looking, baby. Like you need to be out here laughing. You need to be out here with somebody who can put on a little comedy set for you and give you a little cuddle, give you a little massage. Prayers up. Prayers up, prayers up for that person. Give you a cuddle massage, a little slap on the booty, you know? Just give you a little good time. Give you something to relax and unwind on. But anyway, why was I even talking about that? Oh, today was just wonderful. But it was a big day and required a lot of energy. So I'm a little tired, but that's okay. I want to talk to you first about a big revelation I had the other day, because I really have been thinking about this a lot. I did this exercise with Danny in November of 2023, where we wrote out our values, just our personal values in life. And you pick 10 values and then you kind of pit them against each other to see like which one ends up being more important. And you just do that over and over until you get like the definitive ranking via importance of all your values. And this was really interesting because at the end of the day, the number one value that I chose of 10 values was safety. And, you know, back in November, when I did this exercise with Danny, he didn't really challenge that value. But the other day, of course, because things always come back around, I was in traditional therapy with my girl Nina, and I was explaining to her how I have this really, really strong desire for control. And it's like, desire doesn't really even capture it. It's more of like, I find it very hard to deal with gray areas. As we talked about, I'm a black and white thinker. It's very hard for me to feel like I'm in suspense. I'm in uncertainty. If it's not a yes, if it's not a no, I find it very hard to accept a maybe. And I think that's why when I talked about in a past diary, any situations that require me to be suspended in the gray area are very difficult for me. And I try to alleviate the suffering of the gray area by coming up with a binary. And some situations don't have a binary, and that's when I really struggle. So a perfect one is dating. If you're going to date like a healthy human being, you're not going to have a binary in the beginning, unless it's a no. I'm actually very good at knowing what a no feels like to me, especially now, but like, I don't really even let anything happen romantically if I'm not into the person, because as you know, I'm pretty intense and I'm a lover girl, and I'm not nonchalant. So it's like, if that spark, if that little twinkle in the dynamic ain't there, a no is a no, baby, and like, you're just gonna hear that from me. Now, a past, less evolved version of me would just avoid you and hope that you understood that my silence was a no. So that wasn't great, but I have gotten a lot better at this. And I decline people pretty upfront now, which I'm very proud of. It feels very easy and light for me to just, like I told you about, you know, being in the Chipotle and looking at the table of construction workers and like looking them all in the eyes, and then one of them, just to be playful and flirty, and I kind of like take on this alter ego. I read this quote from the biography of Marilyn Monroe. It was a friend of hers who said that she was walking down the street of New York with her, and it was just like, you know, walking with any other person, you know, they were getting like a little bit of attention, but it wasn't like anyone was looking or even really like knew it was her. She didn't have any makeup on. This is Marilyn. And then all of a sudden Marilyn turns to her and goes, "Do you want to see me turn it on and become her?" And she's like, "Sure." And then Marilyn just turns on this energy and starts walking differently and carrying herself differently, and they start getting heads turning, and all these men, everyone starts realizing it's Marilyn Monroe, just because she could change, she could switch on a light, you know, switch on a sensuality, an energy, an alter ego. And I just read that, and I freaking love that. I love thinking about like being so in control of your own character that you could switch it on to anything. You can switch on any quality you want at any time. You could be like, I want to have a sexy character today. I want to have a good listener character today. I want to be playful today. I want to act like a little kid. You could really, or I want to be soft and nurturing today. You can switch on any character you want at any time. I just loved that quote. So I do that sometimes. After I read that quote, I went into the Chipotle and I switched on my Marilyn Monroe alter ego. And I looked all these construction workers in the eye. And then one of them had come over to me and asked me on a date. And I just politely declined, you know. Thank you so much. No, thank you. I'm so flattered. I hope you have the best day. And, you know, hell yeah. Like, that's amazing. So I've gotten a lot better at this. I would say, like, I used to, like I told you before, like I used to really hide myself and like wear unflattering clothes and not make eye contact and really kind of just be scared. And I think this is why I'm bringing this up. When I was in my therapy session the other day, for some reason, as I'm describing, like, what is, like, Nina, why am I a black and white thinker? Where'd this come from? Like, how did it develop? And then something just told me to bring up this whole thing around safety, and safety being my #1 value back in November. And I was like, it probably would not be safety today, but I do think the fact that it was safety in November tells you a little bit of something about me, even if it's about a past self. And she was like, she really sat there with that, and I saw the wheels turning, and I was like, oh, my girl's about to cook a Michelin star meal here in front of me, and I'm about to get something. And she goes, that's really interesting. That safety is your #1 value. Because you know what that kind of like reminds me of? You know what that kind of just calls to my awareness? It's like if you ask somebody, what's something you couldn't live without? And they said food. It's like, why would you say food? Are you starving? Are you hungry? Why would you say food? She was like, that's how I felt when you said safety, because it's almost so obvious and innate that why would you list it as a value unless you don't feel that you have it, or that you feel like it's up for debate, like the fact that you have it is not guaranteed. And I was like, she earned that check today, boys. I was like, bitch, damn. Okay, so what does it mean, Nina? And she's like, why? She's like, do you feel unsafe? Like, what does safety mean to you? And then I start fumbling around, and I'm like, I think it's extremely important for me to feel like I am safe in my body. I'm not in an environment, I was really stumbling on this, so I'm trying to recreate it. I'm not in environments where I can be exploited or taken advantage of. And then I kind of went on this like rant, and I was like, I feel like the world is overwhelming for me, because in my experience, when I go anywhere, I get people coming up to me and they like want something from me. It's like men want my attention. I'll be on a walk or I'll be in public and men will come up to me and they'll start talking to me. They'll ask me on dates, and it's very overwhelming, or it's, you know, just people constantly like wanting something from me. And she's like, but why does it feel unsafe? And I'm like, well, because there have been times where I've done things I didn't want to do because I didn't say no. And she's like, okay, but but, you know, did they make you feel unsafe? Or what did they do to make you feel unsafe? And then I'm, you know, really trying to understand this. And I'm like, well, I understand why it would happen, because I wouldn't actually say what I wanted. And so they would just do what they wanted, but I wouldn't say what I wanted. And then it would cause me to feel really bad, because I would end up doing something I didn't want to do, but I also didn't say I didn't want to do it. So how are they supposed to know? So it's like I'm living in this hell because I'm doing things I don't want to do, but I'm also not voicing that. So the other person has no idea the level of suffering that I'm in. And I'm only putting myself in that suffering because I'm so afraid. I'm like afraid of their retaliation. I'm afraid of what they're going to do or say. I'm afraid of if they're going to have like a physical reaction or altercation with me. It comes from a lot of fear. This, like, and I understand I have a lot of empathy and forgiveness for myself as to like, I can, my current self looks at my past self and holds myself with so much grace, because I know that why I was doing this, why I was not speaking the truth and saying like, no, actually, I'm not comfortable with that, is because I was deeply afraid of being taken advantage of. Or in my view, it was like, I need to lie to make this person happy in the short term, just to get out of the situation, literally just to survive. Like, just to show you how extreme this is. If I were standing on the bridge and a guy comes up to me and hits on me and asks me for my number, a past version of me would literally feel the fight or flight activate in my nervous system and give the guy my actual number when I didn't want to. My actual number. This happened so many times, guys. I would give the guy my number and then leave the interaction, and I'd probably end up talking to him for like, first of all, I didn't even want to talk to him, but I'd probably end up talking to him for 30 plus minutes, and the entire time in my head be like, oh my God, I want to be out of this conversation so bad. And I'd just be filled with resentment and fear and like, I wish this wasn't happening to me. As if I didn't have the ability to leave. It's really interesting. As if I didn't have the ability to walk away, right? As if I wasn't in control of every moment if I just spoke up for what I wanted in my own truth, instead of just letting other people steamroll me, right? But I'd give the guy my actual number and he'd text me and I just would never answer. Ever. I mean, this is just so crazy to think about how little sense it makes, right? As I would give my number. Why? To get out of the interaction. To get back to safety. To not disappoint this person so that they didn't hurt me. Because if I said no, then they might hurt me. That was like what was in my brain for a very long time. Is if I say no, I get hurt. This person could like lose it on me. They could get physical. You know, that's really my main concern, is like, you just never know. You never know with somebody. And I think I spun, based on some of my past experiences, if I'm honest, I spun this like worst case scenario in my head of, oh, what's worse? Putting myself in temporary suffering and lying and basically pretending to like be receptive. Well, yeah, I was pretending to be receptive. Pretending to be receptive and then giving my number and never answering just so that I can get out of the interaction and be safe, or being honest and rejecting or declining the guy and then risking my life. That's really what the question was. Like, I really felt like every time I was in these situations, no matter what it was or who the guy was or where the situation was, that I was risking my life and being honest. It's a really sad realization. But it just felt so alive. And to this day, like, just depending on what my intuition says, that does still feel alive. But I think Nina brought something up to me. She was like, and I still have to digest this, so I'm sorry if it's not cogent. But she said, I think you created a world where everything is scary. Like, everything is a risk. Everything is a predator. Like, basically, like, you're seeing the world through this lens of anyone who reaches out to you wants something from you and wants to use you. And they have like an ulterior motive. And she's like, I literally think that you created this worldview and you have PTSD from this worldview. And I was like, holy shit. Because I, in one of these diaries, had this huge, huge realization that I had caused a lot of my own suffering. Because it's so hard for me to explain this to you guys. Like, when I'm in a situation where I have to disappoint someone, it literally feels like I could get killed. It is so intense. This is why I struggle to, like, let someone down. It genuinely feels like a matter of life or death in my body. It feels so extreme. And I don't quite understand the root, if I'm honest. I had some really, really tough experiences with men specifically when I was in high school. Like, maybe it was just when you have enough experiences of something, of being put in unsafety, you just to protect yourself, because I'm such a deep feeler, maybe my body just started saying, like, just give the guy what he wants. Like, and that's a very scary, scary, scary belief to adopt. Very scary. This is why I think dating became so scary to me. Because if you operate with that mindset, I would be going on, you know, I went on this first date in 2022, and I was not feeling it for the guy at all. He was so nice, but there was no sexual chemistry. I could, you know, he was really into me, but I, like, had no attraction to him at all. And we went on this amazing first date. We ended up talking for like a couple of hours, and I really liked him as a person. I just felt no attraction to him. And then he asked me on a second date, and I said yes, even though I knew I didn't want to go. And I just felt obligated to do it. And I just remember thinking, like, I was so angry with myself. Because I was like, why the hell? I mean, you can ask Brian and Annie this. Like, I remember before that second date, I'm not proud of this, I'm just being honest. Before the second date with this guy, I went over there and I was like, guys, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to. No, I don't like him like that, guys. And they were like, Elle, just tell the truth. Just don't go on the date with the guy. Why are you going on this date you don't want to go on? And I was like, nah, but I can't, you know, I can't back out now, you know. And it just is so heavy for me. It's so heavy. It's so heavy. And I don't think it's like this anymore, but like, I really do want to understand my past self, because none of these things need to be heavy. She even brought something to my awareness when it comes to, in the same example about dating. She was like, because I said, oh, Nina, you'd be proud of me. Like, I can reject guys a lot easier now. And she was like, Elle, why does it have to be such intense language? Why does it have to be like, oh, I can reject him? It's like, no, like, why can't you just politely decline? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, this person isn't gonna be gutted because you decline their invitation. This person isn't, you know, they're just gonna shoot their shot. And you're not the only woman on earth they're shooting their shot to. It's like, this might not mean anything to them. Why are you making this mean so much to you? And I was like, oh shit, you know, like, whoa. And that really, I don't know, it shifted something. It shifted something where I feel like maybe because I have such tunnel vision, I assume that everyone does. Oh, I actually didn't realize that before. Because I'm seeing people through the lens of me. Oh. Oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna need to sit with this more, but I'm like, I'm assuming that when somebody asks me out, they feel the same intensity that I do, and it becomes really heavy. Oh, how, you know, this reminds me of this concept I saw called limerence, which basically means that when you don't feel safety within yourself, you exacerbate the importance of another person without really knowing them, because your body doesn't feel safe, and it convinces you that you need this person to feel safe. So this limerence idea is like when you have a really intense crush, and a crush is just an absence of information. It's actually the fact that you don't know them well enough, but what you do know of them, you like. And it's that absence of information that creates this like obsession with getting them. It's almost like, if I don't get them to like me or choose me, I am not safe. You basically hinge your self-worth on this random person's choosing of you. It's very interesting. I think this really tells me something. I think that this tells me exactly why I make it so heavy when anybody approaches me romantically, because I do that. I rarely express romantic interest in people. I mean, especially not first. Usually I'll let the guy express interest, or, you know, I mean, I'd say drop a handkerchief. I do that now. I was not doing that up until recently. That means like make a little subtle hint that you're open or that you're interested in a guy, like try to flirt with them or do something, you know, like compliment his shirt or put yourself in his path somehow. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't express romantic interest very much at all. And so I'm projecting onto anyone who expresses interest in me this like last woman on the earth phenomenon. So it feels very heavy for me. When in reality, it's like, what if this guy is shooting his shot at 5 girls a day? And he probably is, and I hope he is. But I'm seeing it through the lens of me. I'm making it heavy because of my own scarcity mindset. Wow. Holy shit. Oh my God, I have like tears in my eyes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can fix this. Oh. Wow. I can fix this just like I fixed my social anxiety with the walks. It's the reps. It's the openness. It's the open-heartedness. That's how you make things feel less heavy. There's no other way to make them feel light. Wow. This is like the one area that's always felt heavy for me and scary. And I realize it's like I see men who approach me through my own eyes and through my own lens. And if I were going to approach someone romantically, it would be really heavy. And I would be really thoughtful about it. And that's what I expect that guys are thinking when they're approaching me, is that it's like a do or die situation, because that's how I see it. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can fix this. I can really oh my God, it's like I knew this all along. Wow. This was a big realization. Holy shit. You know how I cured this in myself? With my social anxiety and with my avoidance of having hard conversations? I joked this the other day, but it's so true. The boardwalks are my exposure therapy to hard conversations, to perfectionism, to people pleasing. It's literally my exposure therapy that I invented to cure myself by complete accident. Oh my God. I have to do the same thing in dating. Oh my God. Cause it's the one, it's like really, wow, this is really hitting. I've always really resisted dating normally by like actually opening my heart, and I close myself off so fast because it's out of fear. Because I'll like attach to someone really quickly and then tell myself a story that like, oh, this person's just the one, so like it's gonna work out. And then it's actually my own heaviness that I assign to that person that causes it not to work out. Because when I feel that something's heavy, I start performing and I start getting like really in my head. Just like what, oh my God, just like what just happened. This just happened with my crush. Yeah, damn. Because when I put somebody in this kind of category, I don't act like my fucking self. Because it becomes really important. It literally turns me into like, it's so funny. It's like, and I'm aware of this, but it's like every time I learn this lesson, it hits me differently. When you put all your eggs, let's think about it this way. When you put all your eggs in one basket, whether it's like a relationship or even just like a job, like let's say you need a job, but you only applied to one job, and everything is riding on this one job you applied for. Imagine how like desperate you'd move, you know, on how you'd prep for that interview, and you'd be sure to be perfect. It's like everything, the weight of the world is riding on you getting this one job in existence. That is how I feel in the past when I've dated, versus what I should actually be doing, which is applying to 50 jobs at one time. And then you don't even have the time to be so invested and be pouring your energy and prepping for days and days. It's like, no, you don't even have the time. You're juggling 50 different processes. And, 50 is excessive applied to dating, but all I'm saying is like the energetic difference is so felt. Because you can have, just like with jobs, you can have 50 jobs you apply for, and there can be like one that you're really excited about. There could be one dream job that's like really exciting to you. And then like applying for college too. It's like you have your like dream school, and you have your stretch schools, and you have like your safety schools. And I'm not trying to say I would end up with, anything but the dream, but I think that there is something to be said about looking at like the energetics and the laws of the universe. If you are too attached to an outcome, the outcome really slips through your fingers. Like I gave this advice to Talia the other day. She called me. This was, oh my gosh, I forgot this happened. This was one of the miracles, to be honest. And then I'm gonna go, and I have so many other stories for you, but this is really good. This is a really good breakthrough for me. She calls me, and she was having a family, there was just like something going on with one of her family members, and she wanted my advice on it. And basically she said something to one of her family members, and the family member was like, oh, do you not want me to come to this event that you're doing? And then she called me and was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to fuck it up. I don't want to lose my family member. I've worked hard to repair this relationship, and I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to make the wrong move. And what came to my own intuition right in that moment was like, Talia, if you tell yourself, I don't want to mess it up, and you act out of a place of, I don't want to mess it up, let me figure out what I need to do to avoid making the wrong move, you're gonna mess it up. It is the second that you tell yourself, oh my God, I need this so bad, I don't want to mess it up, that you will actually mess it up. Because that's the story of not my dating life, but like anytime, and this is rare actually, but when it's game time for me, and I really like a guy, and I don't want to mess it up, or when the language mess it up comes anywhere near this mouth, if I am saying that, red alert, I care too much, I'm too invested, I have not had my heart open enough. Because the second you say anything like, I don't want to mess it up, you put too much of yourself in it, you put too much of your expectations, your hopes, your dreams, too much, you put all the eggs in one basket. And now both sides of the equation, you and that person, are feeling the energetic weight of having all of your eggs in their basket. And then they're thinking, oh shit, like, what did I sign up for? Especially in the early stages. They could think to themselves like, is this person as amazing as I know that they are? Because why are they closing themselves off to me right now? Like, why wouldn't they be like keeping their heart open? They're so desirable. They have so many options. Like, why wouldn't they be doing that? Like, why would they be? It almost just like calls everything into question, and it has the opposite effect of what you think it would have in the early stages. Now, putting all your eggs in the basket, once they've earned it, once you're committed, that's wonderful. I think that's actually really interesting, because I know myself, and I know that I put all the eggs in one basket. Now, I will say, this has not happened very many times. This has happened like 2 times in my relationships. I've only been broken up with 1 time. And I don't even really count that, because it was a very short relationship, and I don't even really like call him an ex, if I'm honest. Like, I mean, I don't even really know. It was just a weird time. I was struggling. I was down bad. I didn't want to face my pain, but like he did technically end it, if you want to say that. So, but anyway, that I've only been broken up with one time, and it was for this reason. It was because, and like what's kind of funny is if you were to look at like the textbooks of like what red flags are, in this scenario, I hit most of them. I'm not gonna lie about it. Like I hit like excel, but then he did too, honestly. Like we were both red flags. Like we dated for 2 months and I met his family. We went on like a trip internationally to meet, you know, to like stay with his family. I met all of his friends literally immediately. It was like a red flag city on both sides. Okay, so I just got swept up in it. I needed something to distract me, and he had a real compelling story that, you know how much I love stories. He had one, and you know, God bless him, because he really was a blessing, and like I'm still friends with his friends to this day and love them so much. And so God bless you if you're out there. You know who you are if you're listening to this. I really do hope you're doing well. I love you for all the gifts that you've given me and all of the miracles that you've brought into my life via your friends, who are now my friends. Don't get it twisted, okay? We all know who the real sheriff is, okay? But anywho, I'm really losing it. Let's be honest. I've lost it a while ago, okay? Lost and found. When's it gonna be found? We'll see. But my whole point in bringing this up is like, he's the one example of a time where I feel like my energy, there was a lot going on there. I don't know. I'll own this. My energy was not good. My energy was not good. I am like literally a different human being. I look back at that period and I'm like, wow, that was me on the struggle bus. And no one would know that because, you know, anyone who knew me in the 2020 to 2021-2 period would only just know me to be that. It's like, if you were to meet me then versus now, you'd be like, holy shit, these two people are different beings. They are completely different existences, a world apart from each other. Back then, because I was so desperate to distract myself, I needed a lot of attention. I don't need that now. No. Like back then, you probably could have called parts of my existence anxious attachment. You could have called it that because I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. Okay, a core part of running from your pain and trauma is not wanting to be alone in this puppy for a second. You want your full day to be filled with distractions. So what would I do all day? I would be working like a dog at work. And then in any amount of free time, I'd have 3 different minimum streams of stimulation running. I would have my iPad on playing some kind of random show on Netflix. I'd have my phone on, in my hand, my pocket computer going. I'd have music on in the background. I just constantly had something on to distract myself, like something to keep me out of silence in this head. Then I would go work out, and then I was dating this guy, so it was like, oh, like he can take up a big chunk of it because I could just be thinking about him in the free time when my brain got a silent moment, right? It's like, oh, great, like we actually can hear ourselves think. Let's fill our thoughts with this guy, you know? It's like, that's what that was. pretty hilarious when you think about it. But this is how it would manifest. It would be like, okay, like I'm thinking about him, so now I'm gonna like put actions towards me thinking about him. So I'd be on Twitter, and it's so funny. I don't have this behavior at all anymore. I'd be on Twitter, and my feed used to be, it's very different now, but it used to be like really funny and like straight bangers. Like tweet after tweet was just funny. So I would just send him tweets. I'd like go on a tear for like my last, I don't know, hour of the day, just going through Twitter, distracting myself with the comedy of the feed and sending him a bunch of tweets. And like, was it excessive? Yeah. But it was coming from a good place. And like, I don't know, I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. And I was like, oh, well, I saw this funny thing and it brought me joy, so I'm going to send it to you. So there's that. And then whatever time I had left over while I was still conscious was spent either with him, thinking about him, or sending him things, or like thinking about how to help him. Just what you have to know is that I just wanted to escape my mind. And everything I was doing at that time was in service of not being alone with my thoughts and not feeling any of the emotions that I had buried so far down in myself, that all of these thoughts and all of these distractions just allowed me to push down the emotions I didn't want to feel, like a trash bin that was overflowing. So every single time I like sent a tweet to this random guy, or every single time that I turned on the TV or turned on my iPad or turned on a podcast, it was just me smushing down the fucking emotional trash that I needed to feel, that I didn't want to feel and I wasn't ready, and just kicking the can down the road and smushing it instead of just letting it rip and feeling it. I didn't want to. I wasn't ready. And that's okay. Like, I learned a lot about myself during that time. But what I'm trying to say is, in that scenario, I wanted the distraction to be locked in. So what I did not want was any level of uncertainty. I couldn't handle it. I was already going through a lot. So I think it was like 10 days in, I think, because it was kind of funny. I remember thinking like how to lose a guy in 10 days like came to my mind. 10 days in, I was basically like, do you want to be together? And he was like, sure. Okay, that's pretty red flag on my part, because like, who is this? And like, granted, we had spent a lot of time together because I'm intense, but the intensity is really just a fear. The intensity in this scenario, the like accelerated intimacy is really just a fear of like, what would happen if we went slow? If we went slow and we stayed in the gray a little bit longer, then maybe you could decide you didn't like me and you'd leave. So really, the intensity in the early stages of dating is an intimacy fear. It's a fear of actually being seen. So you bum rush your way through all of the vulnerability in like this like clean little package where it's like, oh, like I need to word vomit all of the things that I think and feel and that I've been through. And then if you see all of it and are like, okay, I'm in, then we can continue on. But if you say like, I'm out, like I'd rather you hear it all and say I'm out earlier than later. But here's the kind of funny thing, is that that's not natural, normal, or healthy. Like, you should and you know what happens? This is interesting. I'm now clicking some things. When you share that much of yourself early, like let's say it's like 10 days and you've spent like 100 hours together in those 10 days, the emotions are so heightened, they're so intense, that when you separate or break up, because it moves so fast that it feels so heavy, because it's like, oh my God, like I literally went from 0 to 100. I went from having no girlfriend, being single, dating other people, to like this person's my entire world in 10 days. And I think a lot of the times people will feel crushed under the weight of those expectations because they happen so quickly. Whereas then that's why people like leave when you think things are going really, really well, and then all of a sudden the person will be like, I can't do this anymore. I think that happens in large part because it happened so fast that their brain can't process the speed and is like, holy shit, like we went from being single and dating to locked in and committed with this person really fast. And I don't feel safe, and I don't know what's going on here, and like I don't know what I signed up for, basically. Like there's like an alarm bell that goes off where it's like, do I actually know this person? And for good reason. Honestly, there's a good reason, because I have had an experience in one of my relationships. I don't want to be too specific on this, but I had a very accelerated romantic experience that I would just say, I mean, of the professionals I've consulted about it, it was pretty textbook narcissism. And I hesitate to use labels like that because I think that they've been so bastardized by short form videos saying like, here are the signs you dated a narcissist. But this was like by the book narcissism, from the love bombing to the fast accelerated intimacy to like stepping over your boundaries to the visions of grandeur and kind of like inflated sense of self but deep insecurities. It was really like all of it, really, really, really all of it. And what's kind of sad is like why I allowed it to happen was because of my fear of the unknown. So like I'm like a narcissist dream. Well, not anymore, because I'm healing this, and I do feel like I've healed this, and you only have to have one experience that's even borderline narcissistic from somebody to never fall from it again. Like you really only need to have one. And I already had my one, so I'm clocked out on this one. But it's one of those things, you can read it, you can see short form videos about it, but you go through it, you go through that roller coaster, baby, that's a one-time ride. You're not doing that twice. But I think about that, and it's kind of interesting because my past self who went through that experience was a dream for someone like this. Because I have a fear, or I'll speak in the past tense because this hasn't been the case in a while. I had a fear of the unknown. I had a fear of living in the gray. A narcissist also has a fear of living in the gray because they want to force commitment on you really fast because they have such low self-worth that they don't want you to get to know them slowly because they are convinced you're not going to like them because they don't like themselves. So they think that like, oh, time is a risk. So what I've really got to do is I've got to go fast as hell. I have got to convince, I've got to sell this person on me, and then I've got to put a ring on that finger and I've got to lock them in so they cannot leave me. I'm going to make it so hard for them to leave me. That's what a narcissist angle is. And I'm ironically my past self was a dream for this because our triggers are similar. It's like I was afraid of the unknown because, well, we talked about it, but because it causes me extreme anxiety to not be on the same page with someone and to feel like I don't know where I stand, and like I'm investing so much of myself. I only have this like on-off, intense or nothing. This is what I'm working on, is like, what would it be like to actually find something in the middle of all or nothing, or intense, or, you know, light touch, you know, heavy touch, light touch, because it was so heavy for me. Narcissists make the beginning of the relationship really heavy because they're afraid. they need it to feel really emotional and juicy and amazing for you. And so then when it feels like that for me, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, this is great because I'm intense. I'm just intense in a different way. I'm intense in a way that's like, well, way more wholesome and coming from I'm just speaking from my own self, coming from a good place and good intentions. Like, I really am a lover. But from the narcissist angle, it's like that intensity is really to like manipulate you into being with them, into like staying, into feeling like you can't leave or there's no one else like them. So it's two people who have the same intensity who are meeting and being like, oh shit, this rocks. And then you keep going through it and I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy shit, there's something really off about this. I will say though, the day I meet somebody who has my same intensity and is a good person, not a narcissist, but just somebody who has a really, really hard time with uncertainty because they're more of a black and white thinker, I think maybe that'll be the love of my life right there. An intense person. You know, we get a bad rep, us intense people in love, because it's like we're a little obsessive, but it's usually only a problem when the other person ain't like us, right? But like, what if you had two people like that together? That'd probably be some magic. It would be really wholesome because like, I mean, you guys know me. I'm a good person. Like, I'm really loving and I'm a fantastic partner. But it's just that beginning stage that I've always struggled with, because I'll either let somebody, well, the intensity thing, as we talked about, I only had one person break up with me, and I think it was like partially because of all the eggs in one basket. Like, holy shit, why are we married? And it's been 2 months. It was like, you know, it was a lot. It was intense. I am a lot. I get that now. But the other times when I would break up with the person, why was I with them? That was because they were really into me and I did not really feel strongly about them. That was like the through line of all my other relationships, was like, the guy was really into me and I liked that because I liked that intensity, but I didn't have that intensity back. That's why it never lasted. So because I was a people pleaser and I like wanted to give people a chance, and I also really wanted to be chosen, like I would allow guys who really liked me to be with me. And I basically was like a bystander in my own relationship. It was like almost as if I did not have my own agency to say like, oh, I actually like don't feel strongly about this person back, but their love for me makes me feel so good about myself that I'll give it a shot. And then it would be like, okay, 6 months in, I've got to end this because I just can't do it anymore. Like the feelings didn't develop. And I think that sometimes, you deceive yourself as like an intense person into believing that like the feelings can grow. At least I do. In my experience, they do not. You are just delaying the inevitable. If you're an intense person who says like, oh, I'm not feeling it up front, but let's see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a limiting belief here, but I just feel like there's gotta be a world where you're into it in the beginning, and that person's into it in the beginning, and you just have this mutual intensity and love and respect and admiration, and it's just like, oh, finally, you know, it's just like a deep exhale. I think that I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been on the side of the fence where that one guy who broke up with me, I put all my eggs in one basket. I was really intense and we got very serious very fast. It felt like, I think, because it was so fast, and then he just freaked out. And so that was one side of the fence. The other side of the fence was like the opposite, where I abandoned what I wanted and let the guy's very strong desire for me to like get me into a relationship. And then I basically like was in the relationship for as long as I possibly could be, until I couldn't do it anymore. And then I had to break up with them. That's very interesting though, now that I'm thinking about that, because like that very much mirrors my worldview about not having a choice and about not being safe. Because I told my therapist one time that a big reason why I had some of my boyfriends that I've had is because I felt unsafe. And I would literally use my boyfriends as my excuse to reject men, which is really wild. I started doing that in college. Like, my first boyfriend was my RA in my freshman dorm. He was like the first guy I met on campus, and he had a crush on me, and we would hang out, and we were like friends for like 2 weeks. And then one day we were sitting in the basement of our dorm, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I was so relieved, because I was like, oh my God, I can tell people I have a boyfriend. Holy shit. This is like revolutionary. And like, now I don't have to like short circuit when a guy expresses interest in me. And it gave me such a profound sense of relief to have a boyfriend. But the thing was, like, that relationship, like, I didn't feel passionately about him. I just felt safe. So I was optimizing for safety. Oh. I was optimizing for compatibility, like do I like this person's personality, and safety over like, wow, because I would sacrifice like physical attraction in those early relationships. Wow. Oh my gosh, that's wild. That was a reflection of my unsafety. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing how everything goes back to that. But what I'm really cultivating within myself, and then I'll let you go. Here I am saying it's going to be 30 minutes, of course. Cultivating, this is how I'm reprogramming myself right now. I'm cultivating safety within myself and my own body. And part of that is actually by like learning about my body. I went to Catholic school from K through 12th grade. I never took an anatomy class. We didn't have anatomy. I did not learn about my body, especially not about my yoni, if you will, my like sacral center, my sexual organs. I've never been taught anything about it. And I went to this class the other day. By the other day, I meant last night with Talia. And it was all about like fostering a relationship with your vajayjay and like getting really comfortable with like, what is the anatomy? What's going on down there? How can you have full information and knowledge of what goes on down there? And I didn't quite understand the impact that was going to have on me, but I felt a profound sense of relief going to this workshop, because we not only learned about the anatomy, which was like freeing, because I realized like I had never learned that. Never. And there was like freedom in the knowledge of that, and being like, okay, like, wow. Like, I have such an appreciation for the intricacy of those organs and how they all work together. The female body is so complex and so beautiful. And it's just like, it gave me a sense of wonder and awe for my own body that I had never really had before. Like, it replaced the shame with like this pride and excitement. And then we danced around, we like twerked in the mirror, and we did this guided meditation through our female anatomy, which was amazing. Like, literally like going through, she was like, you know, walking you up the mountains that were your breasts, and like the valley between the mountains, which is the space in between. I was like, this is beautiful. She walked us through this, and it was like emotional. And then we did this thing called a yoni massage, where you take castor oil and you just rub it on your womb. And I was like, this is beautiful. I felt so relaxed and like so connected to myself and so sensual, and like I could just like I could take care of myself in any moment. And like honestly, right after I get off this video, I'm gonna give myself a womb massage because it felt so good and I just felt like so happy. And like I took care of myself, you know, like I was like paying tribute like to the sacredness of my body, of like my femininity. And I woke up today feeling so refreshed and renewed and thinking, I've never done anything like that before and I love it and I would do it again and I want to do it again. And I want to foster this connection between my body, because I think it's like when you don't know the intricacies of something, it is the unknown, and there is an unsafety because you don't really know what's going on there. There is a literal unknown. So it's just fascinating. I think that healing this relationship with my body and my knowledge of my feminine core, my knowledge of my sexuality, my sexual organs, I mean, it's all so connected, will really help me show up differently and show up in a more secure, safe way to where nothing is a huge deal. You know, it's just light. Doesn't have to be a hard rejection. It could just be a polite decline, you know, like how can you make these things feel light? And I think this is my final boss. I feel so good in every area. And I feel by the second my relationship life, my romantic life is getting lighter. It's like taking the air out of a balloon, just like letting the balloon go from like being really tight to like, okay, it's deflated and like all the air is out. That's what it feels like with every passing moment. The air comes out of the balloon and I can just like relax. So anyway, my journey right now is cultivating safety. So if you have any recommendations for things that make you feel really safe within yourself, or if you relate to anything I said, let me know. But I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm so grateful. I have so many stories for you. We'll see what pops out of this mouth tomorrow, and we'll see what I feel called to share. But I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Here's to cultivating safety within our hearts, bodies, and souls today and every day, and loving ourselves unconditionally and being the kind of person that we want to be with. I love you so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon, okay? Bye.